Although, Andrea, I'd say with banks specifically, there's another measure of trust, and it's called deposits. And Greek banks are losing deposits. How does anyone on the panel, and I'm not going to talk about the cooperative banks because that's obviously, I'm come to you in one second, but generally, are we seeing a run on Greek banks yet? A run like, for example, we had in the United Kingdom, where people queued round the block to get their money out of Northern Rock? Are we yet in danger of that in this country?
Let's say only one word. This is an endemic, but the problem is the volume. I would say it will happen. Some people do like this, but run out of deposit, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, because the problem, it's like always in Greece, the rich people will be able to get their money away to Switzerland or wherever they have, where the poor, ordinary citizens, they're the ones who have far less options in this case. But perhaps if we could talk specifically, Nikos, about the cooperative banks, a small but very distinct section of the Greek banking sector. What does the recent deal, if it goes ahead, let's forget the referendum, what does it mean for your members?
Να πούμε καταρχήν ότι οι συνεταιριστικές τράπεζες στην Ελλάδα έχουν ένα πολύ μικρό ποσοστό στην τραπεζική αγορά, της τάξης του 2%. Πρέπει να πούμε όμως σε κάποιες περιοχές, όπως η Κρήτη, το ποσοστό αυτό ανεβαίνει στο 20%, που σημαίνει ότι οι συνεταιριστικές είναι πρώτες τράπεζες από όλο το τραπεζικό σύστημα που λειτουργεί στο επίπεδο της περιφέρειας Κρήτης. Τώρα, η συμφωνία θα έλεγα ότι δεν αγγίζει άμεσα, αλλά έμεσα τις συνεταιριστικές τράπεζες. Άμεσα δεν τις αγγίζει γιατί το σύνολο σχεδόν των συνεταιριστικών τραπεζών δεν διαθέτουν κρατικά ομόλογα. Και με την έννοια αυτή δεν υπόκειται τις συνέπειες του κουρέματος. Υπάρχουν σε δύο τράπεζες ένα πολύ μικρό ποσοστό ομολόγων κάτω του 2% του ενεργητικού και ως εκ τούτου θα έλεγα ότι μας αφήνει ανέπαφη αυτή η συμφωνία σε σχέση με τις ανάγκες κεφαλαιακής επάρκειας. Δεν επηρεάζουν τα κεφαλαία μας. Όμως, σε μια αγορά τραπεζική που εξελίσσεται διαρκώς, οι ανάγκες για να μεγαλώσεις τα κεφάλαιά σου, για να αναπτυχθείς, είναι συνεχής. Ως εκ τούτου, το γενικότερο περιβάλλον και ο προβληματισμός από την ανακεφαλαίωση που έχει ψηφιστεί ότι θα γίνει, επηρεάζει τις συνεταιριστικές τράπεζες. Όταν κάνουν αυξήσεις κεφαλαίου, δεν συγκεντρώνουν τα αναγκαία κεφάλαια που έχουν προγραμματίσει. Με την έννοια αυτή, η έμεση επίπτωση είναι σοβαρή. Όπως επίσης, οι συνεταιριστικές τράπεζες γενικότερα από τη συμφωνία θα επηρεαστούν, διότι η εξέλιξη δείχνει μειωμένη ρευστότητα, θα έχουμε μειωμένη ρευστότητα στην οικονομία και ότι το κόστος χρήματος θα αυξηθεί. Επίσης, η διατραπεζική, η προσφυγή δηλαδή στις αγορές, θα καθυστερήσει για αρκετά χρόνια. Άρα αυτό το κομμάτι είναι ένα θέμα που επηρεάζει όλο το τραπεζικό σύστημα και τις συνεταιριστικές. Όπως επίσης και οι επιπτώσεις που έχουμε στην πραγματική οικονομία, καθυστερήσεις, επισφάλειες, πρόσθετες προβλέψεις κλπ. Ένας αρνητικός παράγοντας είναι ότι οι συνεταιριστικές μέχρι σήμερα μετέχουν ελάχιστα στα μέτρα ρευστότητας που έχουν ξεκινήσει από το 2008. Βέβαια, δεν είχαν ανάγκη με την έννοια ότι αν παρουσιάσω τα οικονομικά στοιχεία των συνεταιριστικών τραπεζών, ακόμα και τώρα ο ρυθμός ανάπτυξης των δανείων είναι θετικός, η απώλεια των καταθέσεων είναι με στοιχεία του έκτου λιγότερη από τη μονάδα, παρουσιάζουν κερδοφορίες, έχουν αύξηση του κεφαλαίου γύρω της τάξης του 3% και έχουν και μια ανάπτυξη μικρή σε νέα καταστήματα. Δείχνει δηλαδή ότι ο τομέας αντέχει τα μέτρα. Αυτό όμως μας προβληματίζει είναι αυτό που είπα προηγούμενα, οι έμεσες επιπτώσεις της απόφασης.
Would you allow me to add some stuff there, because it's my research topic? So I totally agree with him, and I would say that there is not a systemic problem from the co-op. There cannot be any systemic problem. I will also add something else. They are healthy banks. They have helped by the state, not as much as they should be. In other words, they haven't given them the capital that they need in order to expand local markets, and in other words, local banks to expand the activities of the SMEs over there. So you have really big competitors there, big banks, groups. The good things about them is that they are not having directly to the markets. And the investor or the depositors, they have not really options to, let's say, get the money out of the system, a more local market. Yeah. And they trust the banks because they know they don't have, I would say, toxic assets, which at the moment toxic assets, the government bonds and other stuff that probably are innovative but never been innovative as much as they said. So I would suggest, not to the government, I would suggest to the people they make decisions that they have to help more the cooperative banks because they are doing a proper work in the local market. Although you said something before about depositors, I try to avoid to answer that question because it also can be a political view. Somebody can give a political view of this, of his answer. Imagine a healthy financial system, which there's no problem, and for some reason, the depositor, the client, they decide the next day, me, you, everybody, to go to the banks that ask for almost more than 30% of their money. The system will go bankrupt. There's nothing wrong, but the money they kept aside, the bank, in order to, according to the Basel III, all this Basel II, Basel II.5, all this stuff, this strange, they are giving them the option to give an amount of money for everyday use. What happened in Northern Rock? It's obviously the rumors was really bad, and people, they went to the bank because they listened, not particularly I was wrong, they was listening to rumors about the bank going bankrupt. And all the people, they went there to take out of the deposits. I hope this thing is not happening here. It's not going to happen here. But imagine the situation tomorrow morning, people, they decide, or they think about seriously that they believe other people, they believe that they say they will come out of the euro. I would personally go to get some money in order to have euro. I don't suggest that, but I will go before the day the thing change to get as many euros as I can in order to have more
strong currency.
That's all. Yeah. So this has to be avoided. And in order to be avoided, it's not a technocratic position has to be followed. It's the political position. Things has to go out in a different direction. Not political. I'm not saying changing things happening here, but I'm talking about stability comes more from what the politicians say. The politicians, they keep the steering wheel of this country. And secondly, for us.
Well, let's hope let's step back from that vision of a run on banks. Let's step back from that. Let's talk about the banking system, Greek banking system as it is now, the various pressures we've talked about, the write-downs, etc. What will they mean for the Greek banking system, assuming there's no disaster? Yeah. In the next year or so, will we see any forced renationalizations of Greek banks? Will we see consolidation? And if we do see consolidation and perhaps takeovers of Greek banks or new shareholders, would Greeks be willing to accept foreign ownership, for example, of the Greek banking, any part of the Greek banking sector, a large-scale Chinese investor or a Middle East investor? John, let's start with you.
I think
that's three linked questions.
It is a loaded question. I think from the moment that we have opened a globalization window, then we cannot stop the Chinese bank coming and taking, not over, but participating in a Greek bank. And I think that window needs to be expanded. So to a large extent, we do need to seek and create opportunities for foreign banks to participate as a major or minor stockholder in a Greek bank. That probably will enhance the capital base of the bank. Most probably will create a firewall against potential losses. At the same time, I believe that will boost, even from a psychological standpoint, the confidence in the Greek banking sector. Probably will create maybe some opportunities abroad. And then if you have a syndicate of 2 or 3 banks, let's say taking over 20% of Bank Y, then I believe that that will create maybe a domino, that Bank X now will also sell 20% to a consortium or to a syndicate of other foreign banks. So I believe that this is an opportunity that if it has not already been created, it has to be created in order for confidence to be boosted and capital to come in. Now, whether or not Greek banking system has liquidity, certainly does not have liquidity. But I don't think that that's the Greek banking system, it's the European system that doesn't have liquidity. And it's not just the European banking system doesn't have liquidity. The problem is that we have a European central bank which is not a lender of last resort. So if you have...
And doesn't want to be.
Not anymore.
Yeah, if you have a central bank which is not a lender of last resort, then you don't have a central bank.
Yeah. That is a central problem for the central bank.
Absolutely.
That much is for sure. But just to come back to the Greek banking system, in a year's time, will there be less Greek banks than there are now?
You know, it depends on the situation. I think that each Greek bank needs to look carefully and scrutinize the books, and then create a bad bank within the bank and isolate the bad loans, isolate the toxic assets, and create a healthy bank. And maybe even reissue stock from the Greek healthy bank and let the bad bank deal with all the bad loans and the toxic assets. So eventually it's like I have a cancerous part in my body, I cut it off, but at least the rest of me is going to live.
Let's hope the cancer's not in your head, but then it might be a little more difficult. Andrea, do you expect to be working on consolidations or restructurings or?
Yes, absolutely. First consideration is that we do not expect Chinese or Middle East investors coming into Greece. They are already in. So this is a process that has been
physical assets.
We have some already come.
Yes, they have already
Qatar.
invested in companies in Greece. So
In Pakistan.
they're not, I would say, new investors. And I think it's good. This is the effect of the globalization, I think is good. In relation to the consolidation process, obviously, I see consolidation process in a 2-3 years horizon. Absolutely, there will be probably few champions, like big banks, merged together in order to deal equally with all of the others European banks, because this is probably one of the issues that the banks have in Greece. But in terms of this consolidation process, what is important that there are 2 drivers for the market to support the consolidation. The first one is all the economical aspects, which is the ratio, the business strategy, the synergies, all of these kind of economical aspects. On the other end the second drivers is how can I entrust these new banks? And when we're talking about trust, we are talking about governance and communication and transparency. And it's important that the banks in the next years start to be more proactive versus the financial community, be transparent, disclose what their plans, what their business strategy in terms of the governance of the company. They need to disclose how they can assure a long-term value creation for the investors, which are the ones that at the end of the day put the money in the banks.
Andrew, what if they don't have an idea? What if they don't have an idea to sell?
Okay. That's
a frightening thought.
Yeah, the world is changing, so I think that the Greek banks, or the Greek company as well, should understand that if they have a 40% of their shareholders base made of international investors, they should deal with that. They cannot say nothing. They should disclose what they want to do. They should disclose how they want to do the things. And they should disclose how the company is run and how the board of directors is oversight everything within the banks.
Actually, sorry. Actually, I will take the risk, and I will say that the next few months, we have merger, acquisition. Some of the bank, they will definitely go to the fund that they kept from IMF in the HFSF, the Hellenic Fund. And actually, sometime going back to the past and reading some stuff I've proposed in the series, journal like Financial Times, like Banker. A year ago, if the banks has already been through that way, in other words, they have already done some merger or acquisition, some consolidation, or some other technical measure, they have taken some technical measure in order to reduce that problem. Right now, we have already a better and healthier financial system. In other words, the bank already has been less. We have 18 commercial banks and 11 illisted banks, which from this 18, 11 are listed. Subsidiary of other banks, branches, they have already been somehow left the market. It's not a problem at the moment, but I think I will follow the instruction of a very old guy and very wise guy that the Greek banking system are not, they don't have to have more than, they said 2.5, I would say more than 5 banks. I will double that because right now there's some money that can be put in the system in order to. So for me, definitely will be in the next few months, I say few months, not even a year, the banks are forced to go that way.
If I may add for just a second, I think that it's a 3-step process. Step number 1 is remove the cancer and create maybe an institution that oversees those cancerous cells. Step number 2, do consolidation, restructuring, raise capital. And step number 3, create a separate bank within the bank that trades on its own account. It doesn't trade using the customer's money, but trades using the capital that it has raised, and tries to raise the capital within the bank to finance the second part, which is the traditional commercial bank. So if banks are able to trade on their own account without using the government guarantees or the customer's deposits, but using their own capital and actually buy real assets and do not buy paper, which is somebody else's liability, which is nothing but liability, not an asset, then they will be able to boost the capital of the second bank, which is the commercial bank.
By ring-fencing proprietary trading. Your old friend, Mr. Volcker, again.
This is actually, the bill that already passed in the parliament. In the Greek parliament, it's called about bridge bank. They have already applied that to the Proton Bank. They put a new Proton Bank with a good asset, and they have left the other asset away.
I didn't know that.
This has already been done.
Okay.
It's already a bill that already been in use.
Nikos, what parts will your member banks take in this merger process? But presumably it's good for you. You'll have less competitors in a year's time than now.
Καταρχήν να πούμε ότι το τοπίο είναι ακόμα θολό. Και το τι θα γίνει στο ελληνικό τραπεζικό σύστημα θα εξαρτηθεί από την υλοποίηση της συμφωνίας και τη σταθεροποίηση της οικονομίας. Εκτιμήσεις λένε ότι 2-3 τράπεζες ελληνικές έχουν τη δυνατότητα είτε με πώληση συμμετοχών ή και με άλλους τρόπους να διατηρηθούν στην αγορά. Συμφωνώ ότι θα ακολουθηθεί για τις υπόλοιπες πιθανόν διαδικασία εξυγίασης και δημιουργία νέων πιστωτικών ιδρυμάτων, που σε δεύτερη φάση το πιο πιθανό είναι να συγχωνευτούν μεταξύ τους. Συζητείται έντονα στην αγορά η εξαγορά και ένταξη τραπεζών σε μεγάλες τράπεζες του εξωτερικού, άρα υπάρχει ενδιαφέρον που συνδυάζεται, θα λέγαμε, με την απόφαση, όπως και η συμμετοχή επενδυτών σε μεγάλα τραπεζικά ιδρύματα. Αυτό είναι ένα τοπίο που δεν έχει ξεκαθαριστεί όμως ακόμα ολοκληρωτικά. Θα έλεγα όμως ότι με βάση έρευνες που αφορούν τον τραπεζικό τομέα και αναλύσεις που έχουν σχέση και με την Ιταλία, θα υπάρξει ένα προσανατολισμός στο μοντέλο λιανικής τραπεζικής. Το universal banking που λένε. Και ο ανταγωνισμός θα εστιαστεί πολύ στο σημείο αυτό. Θα υπάρξει περιορισμός των σύνθετων προϊόντων λόγω αστάθειας της οικονομίας και στροφή στη χρηματοδότηση της πραγματικής οικονομίας με αυστηρότερους όρους. Αυτό το μοντέλο ήδη ακολουθείται από τις ευρωπαϊκές συνεταιριστικές τράπεζες και έχω μια έρευνα από την Ιταλία τον Ιούνιο του 2011 ότι οι Popular Bank, οι λαϊκές τράπεζες της Ιταλίας και μόνο αυτές προχώρησαν σε νέες χρηματοδοτήσεις και όχι απλά αναχρηματοδοτήσεις παλαιών δανείων. Αυτό είναι πολύ σημαντικό και αποτελεί ένα συγκριτικό πλεονέκτημα των συνεταιριστικών τραπεζών στο νέο τοπίο που θα δημιουργηθεί. Μπορεί όμως να αξιοποιηθεί. Θα το δούμε πιο κάτω.
Well, which brings me very nicely onto my last round of questioning as we're running out of time. But I just want to give the audience, if anyone in the audience wants to ask a question, please put up your hands. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. No, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Because I want to end by looking to the future. The next panel is going to be on new products and services, but there's a crucial question for the wider Greek economy, which is, at the moment, the Greek banking system is not doing what it should do, which is take in savings and advance loans to entrepreneurs, to household owners, etc. It's not the only country which has that problem, but it's particularly severe in Greece. Is there anything that the government can do to make sure that small and medium companies get the kind of credit they need? Should, for example, Greece set up something like Credit Anstalt, not Credit Anstalt, the KfW in Germany, a development bank for small and medium companies? Or would that be a backward step?
You want me to answer? I think there is already announced.
Well, yeah, encourage it.
That they already announced that there is a new Greek development bank.
Yeah.
By its announcement.
Right.
And the money has not already been
Where's
passed.
the money going to come from? Yeah.
Now, it's the different things we are announcing, it's different things they are applying, and we have results.
Yeah.
I believe that yes, it would be help a lot, the system, but before, I will ask this question to myself. In order the people to go through all the situation and bring, in other words, to come out of the recession, we have first of all the politicians, the government, the country, to help the whole situation, the whole country to come out of this recession quickly, in order to apply everything that we have agreed and bring stability to the Eurozone, bring stability to the Greek community, and the Greek actually people, they will decide then to go ahead and, contribute to this development, the new development of Greece.
Yes, indeed, you need the right environment first.
I think it's mandatory. I think it has to happen. Wherever we see growth is primarily created by medium and small businesses, not by big businesses. So growth and employment should come from small and medium businesses which need liquidity and financing. Now, how are we going to finance those small and medium businesses? I think that there has to be some kind of state guarantee or a new bank that will identify, state-sponsored bank, that will identify the primary competitive advantages of Greece in the areas of energy, tourism, and agriculture. and primarily finance those businesses, medium and small-sized businesses, that can boost growth in those 3 areas and at the same time create employment.
Yep, absolutely. Well, on that optimistic note, we will end. We're running out of time. I've learned a lot in these brief 50 minutes. I hope you have. One last announcement. I'm going to do my little bit to help the Greek economy. I persuaded my wife to go on holiday to Crete this year for my summer, or next year more accurately, for my summer holiday. So I hope I see many happy, smiling faces in Crete in the spring. But it's been a great pleasure to be back in Athens. We now move on to the next panel on new products and services. But if you would just join me in thanking my panelists. Thank you.